Hi there, this is Jay from I Wonder UK. Today I'm going to talk about head torches. I've got these four head torches to go through and do a little review slash comparison and things that I think that I like or need in head torch basically. Let's kick off with the first one, this one. This is a head torch that I just picked up from Poundland for £2. £2. Last year they were a quid. It takes three AAA batteries. The second one is a Sunblesa or Sunblesa possibly. I've been sent this to review, and it's a rechargeable one, and it's the model number is XPGR LED. Third one is a Decathlon one, which I think was about £20, and that again is a three AAA batteries. And the fourth one is my Outkit Quark, which I think was quite a lot of money. It was about £34, I want to say, but this is rechargeable. So let's get into it. The first one we're going to go into is the Poundland one for £2. It's got three AAA batteries and an on-off switch basically, but what more do you need? It's got the straps. Without the three batteries, it weighs 20 grams. It's plastic. Not sure how hardware it was, but I've used one of these before for an overnighter, and it was fine. Admittedly, it wasn't raining, etc., but I'm not sure it'll take any knocks, but for £2, come on. First thing I'm going to do is actually weigh them on my digital kitchen scales. I'm not going to bore you with that, cut straight back to you. Poundland one is 20 grams without 3AA batteries, which I couldn't find when I first weighed it. The Sunblesa is 67 grams, and what I've done, I've weighed it with everything included. So it's either got the batteries in or the charge lead and sometimes the bag like my Quark has. So the Sunblesa is 67 grams. The Decathlon one with batteries is 77 grams and the Quark is 139 grams all in. That sounds a lot heavier, but that's got the charge lead and the nice little bag that they provide with it as well, with the toggle and stuff on. Waterproof bags, so that's ideal. First question I'm going to actually ask, or what I always ask myself, is what am I looking for in a head torch? It possibly is an obvious question, but what I look for personally in mine is I like a really low setting because I don't want to be lighting myself up when I'm wild camping. Second is, if you can, get the little red button light condition on it, because I think that works really well at night and it doesn't mess up your night vision. And equally, if you're out with your mates and stuff, you've got it on your head, if you've got it on red, it's good enough to look by, it's good enough to get out round the tent, and also doesn't blind your mates. I personally like the low setting on my lamp, and that's what I use it for most of the time. One, I don't like a strong light, it just messes up my night vision, and secondly, obviously, it makes the batteries last a lot longer. For the type of wild camping that I do, I never really considered a massive amount of lumens necessarily. But when I started thinking about it and when I got into wild camping a bit more, I think there's a requirement for your head torch to be get you out of the poo, if you like. Not necessarily emergency, but if you have to bang out of a wild camp and you need to find your way back down off a hill, etc., you want it to be able to light up your path. So, two, you need enough lumens so you can see at night while you're walking along, and two, for the battery to last long enough in that situation to get you back to civilization or your car or whatever. All four of these head torches, sorry, nearly said headlamps, have got the stretchy wide band that goes around your head. There's the Poundland one, the Sunblesa one, which is quite comfortable. It feels quite soft on the inside. I'm not sure what that material is. The Decathlon one's very similar, sort of grippy but soft on the inside, and my Quark one is fully adjustable, and it's actually got the bit that goes over your head as well, which is quite handy sometimes if you're using it a lot to actually stop it slipping. Quick little hack for you there. If you are trying to go lightweight, you can actually remove these cords, get yourself a little bit of bungee cord and put that round instead if you want to save yourself a few grams. I personally have never bothered. I have done years ago when one of these straps broke. I used a bit of bungee cord just out of necessity, but it's enough for the time you got it on your head. Obviously, depending on how long you're going to be using your head torch for. Me personally, I put it on, look for what I'm getting, turn it back off again. While we're talking about hacks, another little tip for you. The Decathlon and the Poundland one go off 3 AAA batteries. Now, I used this on the Devon Coast to Coast over 8 nights. It worked fine. I was a bit of a naughty boy when I got back and I didn't take the batteries out of it. It got a little bit corroded and I had to literally pull this thing apart. You can't see it there. There's 2 screws on the back of it and it's a bit fiddly, to be honest with you, for the sake of it. So just don't do it. Another thing I do with the batteries before I go, put a little piece of card or something over the top of the battery inside there. I've heard that you can turn one of the batteries around the other way so it doesn't work, but what I like to do is put a piece of card to isolate the battery on the connector there so it can't actually work. And then when you get to need it, as you get it out of your bag, pull out the card and it's ready to go. And that prevents it turning on in your bag, getting to site and then turn it on. You know what's going to happen, don't you? It's been on all the time in your bag and the battery's gone flat. I think for a fair comparison, there's a few things you need to think about with the head torch. One is possibly your budget to start off with. 2, if you're thinking about going lightweight, there's a few grams you could save yourself here and there on different types of torches. 3 is, like I said before, I personally like the low setting on my head torches. That's what I have on all the time. You need to also be able to get off the hill. I do think that's important now. So lumens for you personally, what situation you're going to be in, and that's what you need to be researching when you look for a head torch. The other things I would look for in a head torch is going out when you first get it and try it out in a field, out in the woods, like I said, depending on where you're going, and work out what the real life distance is, what it's like in the tent if you're just using it as a lantern, or what it would be like if you're actually walking along with it. How comfortable is it? But how far do those lumens go to your eye? This particular one, the Quark, has got an adjustable spotlight part on it, so you can make your beam narrower, which seems brighter, or a wider distance, like a floodlight. That's another thing that you might be looking for. On these 4 head torches, 3 of them, so bar the Poundland one, have got adjustable parts on the head. So if you think of that being on your head there, you can adjust off the bracket so the head torch goes down, so you're shining it down. Another little tip, if you're walking around with other friends and stuff on a camp, instead of having it on your head and going around blinding everybody, put it around your neck and turn it on then, so it's still light where you want to be, but you're not shining the headlight in other people's eyes. They're going to appreciate it. To review these lights, the Poundland one, just going through the switches and what's available, is basically an on and off. It's a COB, C-O-B light, which I'm not quite sure what that is. I can't remember what that is. This Sunblesa one, as I said before, I'll try not to blind you, but it's got several settings. It's got a low, a medium, and a high, which is really, really bright. And then it's got on the top of the switch under R, it got, which I do like, it's got 2 different settings for the red. You can either have it, and also comes up with a green, 2 different powers of green. The Decathlon one has got 3 settings. It's a low white, if I can get my fingers going, my fat fingers. The low white, a high white, and then a red. And like I say, I use this most of the time in red, but it's quite nice to have the high white if I'm walking back down off a hill. My Alpkit Quark one has got 5 settings, all coming off the one button on the top, which is a low, a medium, and a high white, straight onto red, and then a red flashing, which I can imagine coming in quite handy. But on the Quark, I think I said before, it's also got the adjustable on the front here, so I can reduce it down to a spotlight if I'm looking for something in more intensity, or flood if I'm just looking around for the area, which is great. Like I said, I was sent this Sunblesa head torch to review, which I'm going to do a little bit of review on it. I've tried it, knocked it around in the garden, around the house, but I haven't taken it out in earnest yet. There seems to be a lot of settings. It's nice and light. The strap is comfortable. It seems very, very bright. I'm not sure how long the battery would actually last in the brightest setting because it's very, very bright. But this also has the red on it as well, and a flashing red as well, which I didn't show you earlier on. If you're looking to get one of a head torch, as a bit of a giveaway, I'm going to do a quick review on this. If you send a message to me of you'd like a head torch, anything like that, in the comments below, and you're subscribed to this channel, I'll pick one in a week or so and send it out to you and let you know. But yeah, just put a little comment in the below why you'd like a head torch. Might be that you need one if you've not got one. First time you're going out wild camping, which would be great. But for any other reason, if you're a subscriber, drop it in the comments below and I'll post it out to you free of charge. Like I said, my preference for a head torch is rechargeable. I do use this Decathlon one because the cost of it is very rugged. It feels rugged. It feels like you could actually drop it in a river. Don't do that. But it feels like you could. And it's reliable, and I like the lumens or the intensity of the light. It works for me. But my favourite, I must admit, is rechargeable. The reason rechargeable, I take along my phone. I obviously make videos. I take my Anchor battery banks with me, so I've always got something to charge something up with. Rather than carrying with me an extra 3 spare batteries, I've got my battery bank. I can just recharge it with this. Little word of advice on this though, this Quark, which I do love, the first time I charged this, I opened it, because it's got the mini USB connector to actually push it in, and the pin dropped out of it. Fortunately enough, I was in the Premier and it was Southwest Coastal Path and I've been out for 10 days and I went to charge it. So fortunately, like I say, I was in a hotel and I found it and managed to get it back in with tweezers out of my first aid kit. But be a little bit careful of that. It's just a little tiny copper type pin that holds the battery in. It shouldn't come out, but I'd got a little bit robust with it and pulled it out. But that would be my favorite, a rechargeable one. We've gone over a quick way of comparing it between the £2 for the Poundland one to, I think these retail for about 20, maybe £22. The Sunblesa. This Decathlon one was about £20, and I'm pretty sure the Alpkit Quark was £34, which seems a lot of money for the head torch, but I've had it for about 18 months and it's worked great for me. There's the money consideration, obviously, for you. We've gone over the weights, which I've listed before, the lumens, which will work for you. What do you as a person actually require and where you're actually going? The real life distance, real life use, which I'll be taking these out in a second and I'll show you the real life use at night. Obviously, it's light at the moment, but I'll take them out and I'll try and do a test. I'm thinking about perhaps going to the woods and putting some markers out on trees or something like that to give you some idea of how bright they are. Spreadability, like I said on the Quark, you can adjust it, do you or don't you need it, and rechargeable or batteries. Those are the things that you might need to consider when you're going out and buying your head torch. Well, this is Jay again. We're back in the woods now, a few miles from the house. One, I thought I'd come down and explore for potential overnights, and two, brought the 4 torches down here to test them out. I've set up a little area which I'll show you in a minute, and I'm going to sort of reproduce a camp area, and then I've marked out two lots of trees which are, like I said, I'll show you in a minute. One is 5 meters away, one is 10 meters away, to give you some idea of the brightness of the torches that I'm going to be showing you, and see if they'll be adequate enough for what you want to do if you needed to get out of trouble. I've got about an hour before sunset. Like I said, I've set up the area for testing later, and a couple of things just occurred to me. As you can probably see, the sun is going down over there. It's not been bright all day, it's been raining. But two, when you get to where you're going to be pitching for the night, one of the things that I do is set your tent up and then have a look around and check all the different objects, all the little, like in this area, for example, stumps and bits of wood and roots sticking out. Give yourself a bearing, I guess, so you know the area or the little area you're going to be sitting in, so nothing takes you by surprise. Sometimes you can pop your head out of it if you haven't had a look. By torchlight, that bush gorse bush or a little bit of heather can actually look like someone's trying to creep up on you. Don't give yourself the heebie-jeebies. And the second thing, which is essential, which I never mentioned before, is I always carry a backup. It's a little dynamo torch type thing. I'll show you in a minute. Here's the little backup torch I was referring to. I always keep it in a Ziploc bag. It's normally wrapped up and sealed, but it's just one of these little dynamo torches, I want to say. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but it's got like a little latch on it on the back here. You just release off one way or the other, and the handle springs out there, and you can just wind it up, and it's enough light to show you the path. It's not super bright, I'll be honest, but it's a backup and it weighs nothing. And I know I don't need batteries. I've had this for over 10 years. I don't even know where I got it from, but definitely worth having. This is the little area I've just got set up, just to give you some idea of what it looks like in daylight. The other thing to consider is at night, when you're inside of your tent, you don't need that much light because the inside of the tent reflects that too. This is where I set up from these two trees, so I'll stand here later when it gets dark. The little bit of bush centre of screen now, which I will walk to in a minute, show you a close-up, is 5 metres, and then the stump in the middle of the screen now, which I set up next to the tree, is 10 metres away. Just going to have a quick look to give you a better idea. This one is at 5 metres next to this tree, and this stump that I've just set up here is at 10 metres. We'll see what it looks like when we get dark. As a reminder, here's the 4 torches we're testing. And add a little tip. See this little strip down the side? That's glow-in-the-dark tape, which works brilliantly. Put it on all your essentials. Here's the Poundland one. That's on low setting. Here's the Poundland one on high, which seems diffused for some reason. I don't know why. Here's the Decathlon on red. Not bad. You can see a bit of shadow on the stump. Not super widespread, and it's not adjustable. Here's the low setting on the Decathlon. You can just about see the bush there. Stumps are not easy to see. And the Decathlon on high. Easily see the bush. Stump centre screen now. And the tree a little bit further away as well. This is the Sunblesa on red. So it's got a much wider spread. Much wider spread. And yeah, it seems a lot brighter to me as well. You can actually see a shadow off that stump. See the thing, and it's also got on the, not just a red setting, it's got a green setting, which is slightly weird. It's sort of almost like night vision goggles. This is Sunblesa on low. We could just about see a few things, but that would be plenty enough to see around your camp. And there's medium. Yeah, it can quite easily see the bush. Stump a little bit harder to see, but you can still see it. And high on the Sunblesa. Very impressive, actually. There's the bush in the foreground, the stump, and easily see the tree and beyond. Here's the quark on red around camp. I've set it up in the middle, so it's not on spotlight and it's not on wide, sort of somewhere in the middle, but a nice good spread of even light. You can see the shadow moving on the stump there. And here's the quark on low. See the bush at 5 metres. Stump a little harder to see. Medium setting on the quark. Can easily see way up there. And then a real high. Literally lights up everything here. You can see the bush, let's call it, the stump at 10 metres, centre screen now. Easily see the trees and a wider spread further out there. I like the 4 head torches. Obviously my preference is for my Alpkit quark, but it's a lot more expensive. This is the Sunblesa that I'm going to find my way back out of these woods now in, which is more than adequate. I've got it on the high setting now. 3 settings, low, medium and high, and this is the high setting. And it lights up a good way round. You can quite clearly see obstacles, see where the path is up ahead. Yeah, more than adequate, and it's a rechargeable, so nice little head torch for 20 odd quid. Yeah, I can say I'm quite impressed with this Sunblesa for how small and how light it is. It's got a very bright white light on it. I know they've all got white lights, but it's wide and long and very bright. But the other consideration I would say is, like all your equipment, when you're going out wild camping, take it out and try it yourself. There's a total different feeling to walking out at night with a head torch and only being able to see where the beam goes compared to when you're out walking during the day, and everything just seems weirder. So take it out for yourself and try it when you first get one. Cheers. Done the side-by-side comparison now at night. Obviously I'm back here again now. I'm going to do the night bit later, but for the sake of the video, done the side-by-side of them. It was a quick video of actually what you might need in a head torch, what I've got and what I've bought over the years. Hopefully it's helpful. If you could subscribe, it's in the button on the right hand side there or in the description below. I'd appreciate it. But for now, this is Jay from I Wonder UK. I'm out of here.